we're going to get started today. This is Joe. He's with At My Community. So this is going to be our next little webinar series, talking about all of the integrations that we can do through Staylist, and how it can help boost guest experience in your park. And today, At My Community is one of my favorite things that my park uses. So I'm going to just let Joe dive in, introduce yourself, and tell us a little quick overview of At My Community.
Yeah, so my name is Joe Dumig. I am the founder, creator of At My Community. And basically what we do is we create individual mobile apps that go in the App Store for each of our customers. The apps that we make are branded with the park's name, and they're meant to engage with the customers and ease on-site communication with their guests.
So how did you come up with At My Community?
Well,
Where was the
so
inspiration?
Yeah, so about 8 years ago, 4th of July weekend, we were camping at a very nice membership park in Rapid City, South Dakota. We had never really been camping before, but we pulled in, we were staying with my dad, and we missed communication. So we pull in, we're setting things up, and a kiddie train comes by, and I have four girls looking at me, eight wide eyes, wondering why they're not on the train, right? So that was the first kind of thing that happened. They were like, oh man, I wish I would have known about that. But I didn't know that I had to go walk across the resort to go to a billboard to see what the activity list. And this is a very heavily activity resort. The next case, they went to go mini golfing and it was closed due to inclement weather. But the inclement weather was in the same county, but it was on the other side of the mountain. So you'd have no idea. So there was no way for us to know that things were going to be closed.
Right.
And then lastly, I went to the camp store two different nights, the next night an hour earlier, and they were closed already. And so there was no hours posted on the door. And so we kind of got to talking about it and thought, there's got to be a better way for these parks to communicate. So we had a 16-hour drive home. Rose, she's got a background in hospitality. That was her major in college, worked at the front desk of the Ritz-Carlton, and I'm a developer. And so 16-hour drive home, I started writing code. And so about 3 months later, we had that resort as a customer.
That's amazing. I love that. So
Yeah.
when it comes to At My Community, what features, do you see parks use the most?
Probably the number one feature would have to be the activity listings. And we keep modifying and changing and upgrading those. We actually just did a major overhaul on that recently, because that's the thing that people are going to all the time, hourly or, every other hour is to see, okay, what's the next activity on the list? And so that's definitely the number one for the majority of our parks. I mean, we do have parks that do not even have activities and still get a wide range of use out of the app. Another one would be the searchable map. So, a guest checks in, they can scan a QR code for their site and have directions right to their site. So they're not written on a paper, going the wrong way into their pull through, which has happened to us at a resort that's now a customer.
I
Um,
think it happens to all of us. So
right. And then also, with that, you don't have to retrain. You're not training everybody on the ins and outs and the directions of the park. So when you have a season where turnover is an issue, staffing and onboarding is an issue, that's just already done. Local area information is another big one. And then push notifications, telling people about high winds, things like that. And then our custom forms. And I think we'll probably get into those a little bit deeper.
yes. So push notifications are one of my favorites, along with the forums, actually. And how my park uses them, they field reviews, bad reviews. If you have, a toilet that's clogged at bathhouse number two, then know that you can send maintenance. They don't have to call. You get it right, to your email, and that problem can be taken care of. And obviously, living on the beach too, our park's on the beach, hurricane updates. We use those push notifications if we have an outage in the park. So it's real time communication with guests. You want to talk us through like how push notifications work and best practices for those?
Yeah, so push notifications, I mean, it's just sent like a text message. It runs through a little bit differently than a text message, but they're sent to your phone. It dings. And then you'll have something that shows you a little snippet. You can click on it and get more information. But we have it set up so they can be sent immediately or they can even be scheduled. So like best practice wise, you could, if you have a popular event coming up, you can schedule a push notification. Just on the event, you click a button and then it goes in to create a push notification and you can say 1 day before and it's set to go out 1 day before the event. We don't recommend doing that for every event because people will get annoyed and they'll turn off their notifications and you can no longer reach them for promotional notifications or
Right.
things like that. One of the biggest things that it just makes them feel in the know. So they are engaged. They feel like they know what's going on at the park. So, whether you have high winds coming, because the apps that are weather-based apps, they're not going to tell people about high winds typically. But this is a particular, campers are a particular group that need to know about that so they can pull their awnings in.
Yep.
And actually, this is one of the places where our integration with Staylist comes in very handy. For the first, 7 years of our product, we based all of our on-site push notifications based off location services. So if anyone didn't allow us to use their location, we wouldn't know that they're on site for a current guest notification. And so now with our integration into Staylist, we can use if they have location services and are within a mile of park, sure, or if they're marked as in-house in Staylist. And so then we can automatically go and give them that push notification saying there's high winds, pull your awning in, even if they're 20 miles away on a hike, because they're marked in-house. Um, and so I kind of should explain that a little bit. You can send push notifications to everyone that has your app. That's great for off-season promotions. Buy gift cards on Black Friday. We added a new playground this spring. Click here to book now. You can target your current guests, and you can even target other groups like just your staff or just your long-term groups.
Yes. At my park, we have it set up for annual lease residents, right? So the people who live there all year round will get different notifications than our transient campers. It's
Yep.
just a great way to, like you said, keep people in the loop, keep them updated, and really get them going in your park because when they know about things, they explore and then, maybe they
Mhm.
venture to your camp store, you're having a sidewalk sale. So you automatically boost revenue there as well.
Yep, I was
Um,
gonna say I think we talk about revenue in a little bit, but one of the things that your park does that very few of our parks do is actually monetize their push notifications. Not often. They do not send out even once a month for that matter, a monetization based push notification, but they do have them for local attractions there.
yeah, and so, creative ways that they can promote local businesses, they can do through the app as well. So you want to talk us through that, how that would work?
Yeah, so I mean, some creative ways to communicate with or to work with the local area. With some of our customers, they actually sell local spots on their app. So the only way that you actually get on their app and they're promoting you is if you're paying. But the good thing is you can show them what that's doing for them. How many times people looked at their listing, how many times people clicked for the map or called or went to the reservations button.
Right.
Um, any of that can be reported on. One of the things that, well, you can also add splash screens for the local area. You can add affiliate links for any tours that are going on nearby. And those are all great ways to do that. A creative way that I'm not sure if anyone's doing, I've pitched it to a lot of our customers. I think it's a great idea, is to do for a long term, like a seasonal park, to do a progressive dinner over the course of the season and partner with maybe 10 local restaurants. And throughout the season, they can go and take pictures or take a picture of their receipt, whatever it is, to using our scavenger hunt feature to prove that they went there. And then there's a few different ways people could win. They could, for everyone that completes it, maybe one of those restaurants caters a party one night at the end of the season and have an end of the season party, or the first to complete, or maybe if it's a picture-based scavenger hunt, it could be whatever their favorite picture was. And you can even have the rest of them vote on it. And so they kind of turn it into an event and it's fun. But doing that type of thing, The resort wins because they're going to get paid by the businesses. The businesses win because you're sending a lot of, all of your seasonal traffic there. And the
Right.
seasonal kind of win because you're giving them restaurant recommendations for different places, and it's an activity that you don't have to man. And
Right.
so it kind of benefits every party.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Maybe I might steal that idea.
There,
And
go for
I'll let you know
it.
how it goes. Give us some ways that operators using the app, can add fresh ideas that, continue to keep guests interested throughout their stay.
Yeah, so some of the things that our customers might do is they would add site decorating contests or yard of the month. And then again, that fits more. Site decorating works on any type of park. Yard of the month obviously is a more long-term based park, but you can take pictures and have people vote on it. You can ask them to send pictures to you. One of our campgrounds in Canada, what they do is they do a photo contest every month. And so they'll have people take their best photo and submit it as a custom form. And then at the end of the month, they pick three or four or five of them and they set that as the header image in their app. And so it's at the top.
Oh, that's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, so they're getting community buy-in, right? It's getting the people excited to use the app because they're going to see themselves on it later. So I thought that was
Exactly.
a very creative idea that just keeps people engaged with the park at all times.
Well, and in our last webinar, I know you weren't on that, but we talked about photography and branding. And by allowing your guests to submit photos like that, you can use them on your website
Mhm. Yeah.
as well. So, because they're already giving you, the ability to use it. So just resurfacing them, reusing them in ways to obviously make your website better as well would work. So that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love
With our scavenger hunt feature, that's probably the more widely used way of doing it. You can ask questions, you can have them scan QR codes, but you can allow them to take pictures. And so you might have them take pictures of different places on the property or selfies around the park, but you can even give a disclaimer that pops up and says, by submitting this, you agree that we can use this in our marketing. And so you're getting crowdsourced pictures of every place in your park by having this little scavenger hunt that they win a branded koozie for or something like that.
that.
And
Right.
you get excited getting free stuff and
Everybody
uh
loves
and,
free
and they're
stuff.
submitting marketing material to you.
Exactly. So tell us ways that, as a park operator that we can use the app to, do upsells or boost or revenue, additional ways that way.
Yeah, so one thing that I just kind of mentioned was what your park is doing, and they have advertising packages that go out to the local area that include the app and what they can do on it, whether it's splash screens, listings, or push notifications. So that is just basic advertising, and that can be done through a bunch of different ways. Um, some of our customers will do things like send push notifications to remind guests of key events going on or allow for ticket purchases through the app. One of our parks, they actually send a push notification when the bar is light and they say, come in for a margarita making class. And so instead of discounting and saying, oh, we're going to do buy two, get one free drinks, and so you're discounting the drink to get people in your bar, you're actually turning it into an activity and charging more money. And then you're getting people at the bar. And after they make one margarita, they're probably going to order another. So that
And
was
maybe
another
another.
way. Yeah. And then lastly, kind of affiliate linking type things. So, especially for people on a beach or on a lake, you have tour vendors that are around, whether they're kayak rentals, jet ski rentals, fishing charters, hikes, and things like that. If your campground is around that area, there's bound to be people that are using products like Fair Harbor or Zolo or some other product that has affiliate marketing built into it. And so all you need to do is get their link, put up a splash screen for that area, or have an excursions button in your app, and then they can go off and create or click on it. And when they book, you get a percentage of that revenue back to yourself.
That's
I
smart.
think typically it's about 11% of the booking.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
So what if, as a new customer, what does onboarding look like if I was to say, yes, I'm down for it. Let's start on App My Community.
Yeah, so we do a 1-year contract. That way we don't have any startup fees with the customer. And so as soon as they sign the contract, within a day or so, they will have their own URL that has their admin console ready to go and build. We have two options. You can either build it yourself, or you can have us put in all of your content for you. Obviously, that costs more. That's a one-time fee. In either case, typical duration once somebody's ready to work on it is about 2 weeks. So if we're doing it, it is 2 weeks within the time that you sign, as long as you provide us information. And then if you're doing it, obviously depends on your schedule. And then after that, you're ready to go. Customers, we try to get them to automatically do 1 hour of training. We prefer that. We do have a training video if they don't want to schedule a meeting. Um, but that's typically all they need. But we offer unlimited training and unlimited support. So our guests can get in touch with myself or Rose pretty much anytime, and we know everything there is to know about the product and can solve the problem for them. So we don't charge any extra for that. And a lot of our support calls are actually consultations. So it's, oh, we're having a chili cook-off coming up. What is the best way to do this in the app? And so I'll ask them a few questions on, well, what's your current process? And then give them, oh, well, you should use a scavenger hunt, or oh, you can use a custom form, and help them that way.
And so when it comes to like branding, logos, color, all of that can obviously be put on the app. So it's, it's the same brand through and through.
Yeah, so basically the only thing that you cannot change on the fly is the basic layout of the app. We have a three icon grid with an image on top, but you can change out anything. You can change out the colors on the fly. You can change out the images that are at the top of the header. The only things you guys really can't change on your own is your app icon. You have to come and ask me for that. And your app store listings, which are all your brand already anyway. We'll ask you for those if we don't just grab them off your website. But you can even go further than that. And Courtney, I know you guys have done this before, is completely retheme your app for Halloween and
Yep.
completely retheme your app for Christmas. And so we definitely have had customers change out all of their colors, even their verbiage in the header images that they showed and be spooky for Halloween. And so that's a good way just to kind of keep engaging, keep it fresh. People open it up and say, oh, it's different. And so they might even relook at the icons and see something they didn't notice before.
Perfect. So on top of all of that, what are some additional features that App My Community has within Staylist?
So the biggest thing with Staylist, like I mentioned, is the on-site push notifications, is knowing who's on site when. And then currently, the other thing we can do is show them all of their past reservations, their future reservations, and current reservations. We can give that to them. They, hopefully can see their site number, things like that. So when they go to rebook, they know that information. Right now, you can book, but it's really just a link out to the website that we can embed within the app. It's not really any heavy integration. It's just putting a website inside of your app, so that can be done, and they get the same user experience that you already chose when picking Staylist to go through that booking process.
Awesome.
Hopefully to come though, we would like to add some more things. One of the biggest things that I think we want to do is add gate management, where we can, get that information from your PMS system from Staylist and put that in the phone, so you don't have to give out key cards. You don't have to email them punch codes that they have to search through and stuff like that. They'll be right there always.
Awesome. So I think now would be a good time for you to show us the app, walk us through some things, and let us see all of the beautiful things that App My Community can do.
Sure. Give me one second. Let me share here. Oh, get it turned on. Okay. You able to see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and just completely close out of this app here, and I will reopen it. And so you'll see right to begin with, oh, it's a little slower on my screen than it is on my phone. Yeah, but 1 second to catch up here. So the first thing you'll see is a splash screen. And so the splash screen that was just displayed, you could sell to anybody. It's clickable, and people could click into it, and it could take you to a certain place in the app. It could take you that affiliate link that we talked about. You can have multiple ones of those that can rotate and be weighted, just so the right advertiser or your own upsells or your own information can be displayed there. And then once you get in here, this is the basic look, but it can look a lot different depending on the property you go to because of their own branding. Their shapes, their icons are different. The icons they have listed are different. Their colors, the way they do their header images all look different. And so some of them have a little more, they all have different colors on their icons, so it's more like kid friendly, like a very kid enjoyment, and some look very polished, like a Class A motor coach property would. And so they have their own personality to them just by picking those different things. So one of the things I talked about was the searchable map. So if I come in here and see the map, I could come in and search for site 133, and here's directions to that site. Now, in this particular case, I had to come in here and search for it. Every one of these mapped sites or everything that's searchable in this map has its own QR code. So actually for a late check-in, you can give them a QR code, they scan it. If they don't have your app, it takes them to the app store to download it. And then once it opens, it's going to take them right here. And so they don't have to go, they don't have to type in anything, figure anything out. It's just simple, take out all the friction that you would have to otherwise. They
Fantastic.
can also obviously search for other things like restrooms. And you can see on here, it's comfort stations is what I clicked on. So they can have synonyms as well tied to any of the things on your property.
Awesome.
And putting that data in, there's a simple website that we have for all of the content that you can manage. And so you can go in here, and so to add a new item like that, if I click in here to edit it, I could just throw a pin right here and add site 151 and then add location, and I'm done. It was added. So that's how quick and easy it is to go and add things like that. And then, like you saw before, you can draw lines as well. Let me go back to my phone here. So another thing I kind of talked about at the beginning was the event schedule. So I'm going to click into that here. You can have as many event schedules as you would like. So you could have a food truck schedule, and you could also have maybe your seasonal schedule, and you can have your daily events. When you create an event, you can actually say it goes onto these three calendars, which is kind of great. So you don't have to duplicate any effort between those because you want your food trucks schedule in your main calendar, but people also want to filter those out and just see what food trucks are going to be there, click on their menu and things like that.
Right.
But you can list these out, for a year or so. Guests can favorite an event, and they will get be asked, or they'll be notified 15 minutes before. And each calendar you can actually change that time frame. And then if I drill in, I can go and get more information about the event. I can see where it is on the map. I can add it to favorites. And you can add whatever other buttons. So in this case, I added a song request. And when I click on it, it takes me to one of our custom forms. So you can make a form for anything. This is a karaoke request. So they could go in, type the information, and a text message would go right to the DJ. No one has to walk in front of some loudspeakers or anything like that and have, a big group of people up there while someone's trying to sing.
Very
Uh,
cool.
with the custom forms, I'll go ahead and talk a little more into that because we did not get into that as much. But you can make a custom form for everything, anything. In this case, it is report an issue. And so these are just some examples. And I was actually testing something earlier this morning, so there's a test one in here. Um, but you can go in here, you can mark certain things as required, so it won't let you submit unless you put that in there. We can take digital signature, we can take images, can be submitted. And then once one of these are submitted, it can get email or text message to one or multiple people. So I know with Courtney's property, one of the things that I had been told after their first year was they were surprised that the number of negative reviews went down, and
Hmm.
attributed it to the fact that people were submitting the any issues they were having through the app while they were on site. So the park actually had time to address the issue instead of them going home and stewing about it and then writing a negative review. So
Exactly.
basically, you just turn a negative thing into a positive because of how quickly you addressed it. So they're happy, as opposed to them writing a negative review that everybody now sees, just because
Exactly.
they never gave you the opportunity. Um, but some other ways these are used. So this is just a generic reporting issue, but you could have a bathroom maintenance form. And so you would have a different form for each bathhouse, and you can put that QR code in the bathhouse. And so again, if they scan it and they don't have the app, it's going to take them to the app store and download it first, and then it'll go right to that form, and you know exactly what bathroom they're talking about. Because, when they come and let's say on this form, they submit an issue and they said, oh, the bathroom needs toilet paper. It's the one by the playground. Well, we have three different playgrounds. Each of them have a bathhouse near them because that's what you do. Uh, and then you have men's and women. So now you have six bathrooms to choose from for your maintenance guys, as opposed to when they scan that QR code, they know they're in women's bathhouse number three. And it just solves that problem altogether. And you didn't ask your customer to give you more information or to try make it harder for them. But this is the same thing you would use for site decorating contests or entering a drawing, anything like that.
So I'm going to just touch on that real quick. Another way that we use it is actually employment or employee appreciation. So
Mhm.
if you have an employee in the park who, a maintenance man who helped, a customer back in, or somebody on recreation that went above and beyond for, a child, they can submit that employee on there and then they get recognized, obviously by management staff. That's how we actually have chosen Employee of the Month is from uh, the recognition that they've received off of people putting in names on the app. So on top of, issues and things like that, there's so many ways that you can use the forms, in different ways to enhance your guest experience.
Yeah, and another way you guys have it is in your team portal section. So they have a private section that only their staff can see,
Mhm.
which is easily done by yourself on the app. But in that private section, there's an employee idea. They call it the employee thought box, where employees can, submit an idea for an improvement to the property. And so it's just another way to put it right in front of their face. They're already going in there to look at their schedules because they put their scheduling in there. And they can go ahead and see that, hey, if you have an idea, put it right here.
Yep.
So that's great. And then another very common use case, especially for long-term properties, is activity signups.
Mhm.
So you look at some of your snowbird properties, and they will have 20 activity sign up sheets that go up the first day of the month, and there's a bunch of people standing around there trying to fight in order to get up front. We most of our customers just do away with that altogether, and they'll do all of their signups through the app.
Fantastic.
And then another big one would be push notifications. So I'm clicked on messages here, and then here you can see my example of a pop-up margarita making class. And so, maybe you want them to register, and it's a link to a custom form where they can register or something like that. Oh, out there, or enter a drawing. One of the big ones that I always mention is in the off season when you're in the middle of working hard on adding to your property. So you add a new splash pad, you add a new playground. Take a picture of it, put it in here as a push notification, send it to everybody that has your app. And this button that you add here, you can add as many buttons as you'd like, but make it say book now, right? And they click into it, they want to see a picture of your new playground and there's a book now button. So you remove the friction of them booking, and that just goes right out to your online booking site.
Yeah. So
We Go
sorry, Joe,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Courtney.
So, the push notifications for us, we use them in every magnitude that you can think of. Obviously, we don't, want to overshoot your
Mm.
phone up with notifications because, like Joe mentioned earlier, people turn them off. But people really do respond well to push notifications. You know, they get out the information that you need. It's quick in their hands. They don't have to go onto your website. They don't have to look through their email. Everything is literally at their fingertips. So it's one of the best resources, along with photos, obviously, like Joe's showing you now, to really get a feel for what's going on in your park, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. They get it, you know, right then and there. It's instant, and it's knowledge that obviously, you know, no matter how big or how small your park is, you can't get to every single person all the time. So it's just a quick, easy way to get the communication across.
Yeah, we were staying in a park. We were staying in a park in Florida over one summer. And normally it's I don't know, 400 site park, but they only had like maybe 100 because middle of summer in Florida, no one's there. But they had an activity that they decided to move forward. So they drove around on a golf cart to any RV that looked like they had children to tell them that it was going to be an hour early. And we're like, man, this is, and we already had the product. And so, like, man, that's crazy that they're doing it this way. Well,
Right.
then, fast forward a couple years later, we stayed at one of our customers um, in Minnesota, and we got in and we got a push notification saying there's high winds coming, pull your awnings in. And so, we've never actually experienced this staying at one of our properties and getting one of these. So we get outside, we start pulling our awning in, and we see a bunch of other awnings start coming in, and like we really felt validated, right?
Right. You're like, let me
Right.
just pat myself on the back. This was
That's
a good
right. I
thing.
know. I'm very proud of myself. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, they definitely work and get the job done.
Awesome.
So Courtney had asked earlier about ways to engage with the local area and also to take some questions off of your front desk, right? So, it's a Friday night, you have 120 check-ins coming, and somebody is waiting in line now to ask you what restaurant they should go to or who delivers, right? Because that's one of the things that Google doesn't tell you. Who delivers to this property? And people are, especially on Friday nights after they checked in, is the last thing they want to do is cook, right?
Yep.
And so you can provide all that information right here in your app. And again, you can set it up however you would like, but here's a list of restaurants that deliver. And I'm just going to show real quick kind of how easy it is to add one of these. And so if I go in here to delivery,
We can't
uh,
see you doing that.
oh, am I just
It's just
sharing?
showing your phone.
Oh, so you didn't see when I was showing the admin console earlier either.
I don't think so.
Sorry
Nope.
about that. Let me see if I can change my settings. I showed something earlier too. There we go. Yeah, sharing screen. I clicked the wrong one. That's why. Okay. Here we go.
Perfect.
Okay, so I didn't show this earlier, but in here, is this showing still?
Yep.
Okay, it's just showing black for me. So in here, this is exactly what the app looks like. And so if I wanted to add a new restaurant, I would just come into dining, come in delivery, and hit add item. And so we try to make it very easy. And I'm going to go ahead and add pizza. So since this property is in St. Louis, Missouri, it's going to find the nearest pizza places. Well, my search term was Pizza Head. And just by clicking on it, I'm going to automatically get call map website. It's going to give me a picture and I just hit submit and it has been added to the app. And so now if I switch back to my phone, you can see it's already been added in here. And so
Fantastic.
just kind of wanted to show how easy it is to kind of add those things. The hardest part about setting the app up is actually figuring out what categories you want, what all the information that you want to put in there is. Putting the data in is actually pretty easy. Um, so then I think the last thing I'll well, I guess I might touch on event tickets. So we have a store. You can purchase things through the app. We run a credit card. And so you can go and set up a event. And, once 150 of these are sold, we automatically switch to a wait list, which I think is on a wait list. No, there we go. So this one's sold out. So they have a sold out message they can add, and then you can join a wait list. Um, But we can also sell things like pizzas, things like that. We normally recommend if you have a full service restaurant, maybe use a product that's meant just for that. But in selling a lot of things that would just be at a snack shack, it works out great.
Fantastic.
And then also for the ticketing, we just recently made sure that we can do $0. So you can still do the same aspect of ticketing people. And so you can have a cap on size, but not actually charging them for it.
Okay.
And the last thing I'll talk about is the scavenger hunts. So, I've already done this one before, so I can go and see my history of the scavenger hunts I've submitted. But I can go in here to find Santa, and I have the ability to take a picture. So I can come in here, take a photo that says take a selfie with Santa or with a Frosty. You can ask a question. So this is just an open-ended question. You can have a multiple choice question, or it can ask you to scan a QR code. And then, the park can make these marked as required. They can, when they get the submissions, they can, score them and say what's right or what's wrong, and they can do all of that. So one of the things that we did is we decided to add a mini golf scorecard. When we did it, we figured we'll just build this right into our scavenger hunts. That way, in the middle of them going through the mini golf course, you can actually have them take a selfie of their group. And so when they do that, it allows you to get marketing materials of having people having fun at your park.
Exactly.
And so it just makes it a really easy way to do those things.
And eco-friendly, paperless
Yes, I believe you guys have done that where you are no longer purchasing, I think you had custom pencils and cards,
scorecards. Yep,
and that it's no longer done. It's all
exactly.
just right through the app.
And then you don't have random little pencils on your golf course either that you have to go
Right.
back and pick up.
Or all over the park for that matter.
Exactly.
In the lake floating.
Yep, yep.
So,
You're like, oh, there's another dollar.
and I will check to see. This might not be hooked up right now. Let me see. Um, but this is my reservations. This is where a guest could go and see their previous reservations and things that they have purchased. Well, I don't know if we do that there. But they can see the history of the reservations as well as their future reservations.
Fantastic. Awesome.
So yeah, these are kind of all the building blocks, but then from there you can go and create sections for anything, right? So, anyone that's on the ocean has a beach section.
Yep,
Tide schedules listed. It's just a link out to their website, so you're not managing it. Um, they would have employee sections, seasonal sections that only seasonals can see. Um, One of the things that a lot of our, Florida parks, Courtney's Park, anyone on the ocean, during severe weather, right from the admin console, you can just drag this, put it as the first icon, rename it to the hurricane that you're about to experience, and have
yep,
all of your emergency management go through there. Last year, a bunch of our customers actually had custom forms that they created for people that were staying in the park in case it got really bad, so they knew who to go and check on. So they didn't have to try to check on every door at the park.
right.
So just some things that you can do with emergencies.
Yeah, and what's also really nice, he was saying that you can move it to be number one. If you have, big group events that come in, we have a massive event every November for the American Heart Association. And so when they come, that is first and foremost, what people see and pull up because all of their information will be there. So it's just a really good way to continue to target guests that you have, make them feel special, make them feel seen, because it's super easy, quick to use, and then they don't, they're not flooding your phones or your front desk or your activity center asking these questions because everything is present right there.
Mhm.
And yep, changing the emoji too. You can change the colors to obviously make it look separate as well.
Yep, you can do all that, and this is just that easy. And I added a new section for Heart Ride,
Right.
which is an event some parks have. So yeah, it's just that easy to add something in here.
And it's also a really good way to put all of your hours of operation. So then what time does the front desk close? Pull open the app, they have it open. Like Joe was saying, whenever he went and the camp store was closed. All of your, your times, you can easily manage, change if you have to close early. You can update that in real time so that, if they go on their website, you might have generic hours, but on the app, you can have, site specific, location specific hours that your guests can, sit at a home and be like, I wonder what time ice cream. I'm really hungry. Open, there it is. Ice cream
Yep.
closes at 11. So it's just, really way quick and at your fingertips, and again, not flooding your front desk or your phones.
Yeah, and I will mention a fairly new feature that we added. So a lot of customers are going paperless, but some of them still need to have paper. They still have to have the bulletin board. People have gotten used to it, and that's what they
Yep.
want. So when we overhauled our activity listing this off season to add the ability to do all day events, to hide your end time, so that way, it might say it starts at 3 o'clock, but you set the end time to 3:15 and you hide it. So that way no one sees that it ends at 3:15, but that way it'll go off of the list at 3:15 so no one shows up at 3:30 because you're not, if no one shows up to this event, you don't want to have to be sitting there for a half an hour or an hour waiting for people to show up. So we
Yep.
actually had surprisingly had a lot of people request that feature. So we kind of added those things, but we also added this create flyer. So I'm going to go off this one and hit create flyer. So what it does is it automatically brings in a header image if you have it. If you don't, you can go and generate one via ChatGPT. I'm just going to pick a random one that I've already used. And it brings over all of your information about your event and the QR code that takes you right to the event. So say you had to RSVP, you can put that in there. All of this can be dragged and moved around. You can add more text. You can change a bunch of different settings on here, as you can see. And so you can make it the flyer that you want without having to go into Canva, redo things, and go into a bunch of different places because we already know all of the information about your event.
Right.
And we can put it right here and make it easy. And then you can just download it and print it out however you see fit.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Fantastic.
that's the majority of it. Obviously, we have to have some back end information. So analytics, you can see how many people have opened your app, how many people have downloaded your app, what they've been clicking on, what businesses they clicked on, and what buttons inside of those businesses. Um, we provide marketing tools so you can embed on your website, horizontal badges or vertical badges, a screenshot, a QR code for downloading your app. And then we also have a marketing image. And actually, we even have an editor for this so you can modify the things around it to fit what your park needs. Um, and we provide that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure some of your questions are going to be, how do I get guests to download the app, or where do I put it, or all of these questions
Yeah.
in your confirmation emails.
Mhm.
You can have a link to select that. Down, don't forget to download our app. If you have a check-in packet or your card pass, put the QR code down here. Don't forget to, check out our app. Anytime that your employees get asked a question about an activity schedule or where something's located or hours of operation, it's always a good time for them to plug the app. It's
Yep.
like, oh, hold on, let me pull up my app on my phone. Looks like it closes at 10:30 or the event starts at 3. And then you're like, and then they're like, oh, well, maybe I should download the app too. It's one of the best ways possible, especially if they see your employees using it. And it's quick and easy at their fingertips. It's actually mandatory for all of my employees to have. So if you are a new hire onboarding, you immediately download the app because, like Joe was saying, not only is all of the information about the park there, but we use it as a team portal as well, and all of their schedules and any quick information that they need. If we're hosting, an employee lunch, the employees will get a notification saying lunch is at 12 underneath the awning, and then obviously they stop what they're doing and no, the park still runs, I promise. But they'll just come in and enjoy it that way. So there's multiple ways that you guys can use it, but having your employees uh, do the first and foremost, like with your guests, is a great way to get them to download it.
Yeah, the staff buy-in is a big one.
Yep.
We've seen that ourselves. We went to a park, they didn't know. This was the same one that did the awnings. They actually did not know we were who we were. Checked in, and sure enough, Rose went and she checked in, and as she's checking in, They explain the importance of the app, and then when we were talking to them later, yeah, anytime they get a question, they answer the question. Customer service is number one. You answer the question, but they also showed them how to get that information themselves if they needed it at a time they couldn't find a staff member.
Right.
And so they pointed them to the app, and those places get great usage.
Yeah.
Other ways would be those QR codes, those things that you're kind of forcing them into doing things digitally.
Right.
So whether it's the, bathroom needs maintenance, whether it's your golf scorecard that Courtney's doing at their property, if you want to experience everything about the park, you're going to have to download the app, and then it just happens.
Yep.
And kind of with that, another question that we get a lot of times that people really they should consider, but realize that it's maybe a blind spot is they don't expect that the older guests will download them. They underestimate older guests.
Hmm.
Uh, that group is not necessarily they want to use technology if it's important to them.
Right.
It's they don't want to use it just for using its sake. So some of our highest usage properties are 55 plus because retirees seem to be also a group that wants to be in the know.
Yep.
We were staying in a park, and as soon as the power went out, someone knocked on our door, giving us an update and telling us what was going on. They want to be the person with the knowledge, and so those parks get great usage. They also have their activity signups, and that's just a necessity of life. So,
Exactly.
so don't
Yep.
underestimate your older guests.
Awesome. There was a question in the chat about customizing to the brand and campground. We did talk about that. And like Joe said, all of your colors, your logo, everything is customizable throughout my community.
Yeah, so if I just click on community setup here, I can come in and change my colors. This is the color used on the background of all the pages. The primary color is used for the header and a few other things. And then the accent color is used for buttons. So anywhere you have a button, and again, a few other things there, you can change that. If your logo is a circle, you almost always want to change your logo to a circle, right? Or
Mhm.
if you have a national parks type logo, you would change it to that. And then you can also even have it without a background, and we invert the colors, so you don't even need a background there. And then you can also for these icons, and I have a customer just asked me, and they're doing this, is all of their icons are going to be custom icons. They're not going to use our icon set in here at all. They're going to upload an SVG and have their own custom icons in here. Um, Most of our customers will only do this for one or two. They might have their logo in there for their welcome information or maybe the logo of a rally that they're having. Sponsors, if they have, like Marathon and Emerald as sponsors or Prevo, they might have their logos in there. But this customer, they're just gonna have their own complete look and feel. And
Yep.
so what we mainly do is we just add a bunch of flexibility so that the customer can make it their own.
And yeah, Nick responded. But on here, this page that he's on right now is everything that you have access to. So this is how you would use the app yourself and not necessarily use Joe after obviously you're done with implementation.
Yeah, and we have a full knowledge base. We just put it right here. This is where they can go ask the knowledge base, submit a ticket, which comes to me in the end anyway. And same with chat. It comes to me now. Now we're bringing on some clients from overseas. We're going to actually have more staffing for the chat, not just me anymore. So that'll be great.
Perfect. Awesome. Do we have any additional questions in the chat? I'm going to share just a final screen, Joe,
Okay.
just with some information and a nice little QR code so that they can get your information down if I'm being tech savvy.
Oh, actually, there was a question in the question and answer. It says, "How are you getting around Airbnb's new off-app crackdown? They're trying to suspend hosts, asking guests to do things off-app."
Hmm.
Um, we we do not really, at least currently, we do not have a focus on Airbnb properties. We're focusing on the campground themselves. And so with the campground themselves, most of the time, that doesn't isn't tied into their Airbnb listing, and it's typically only a few properties that are a few listings that they might have. It is something we've talked about doing is getting into that kind of space without a full app, more so like a web app. But I just haven't had the chance to, I haven't had the need to look into that before.
There's also one more question in the chat.
Yeah, so can you explain how we can use the app for our check-in process? Because right now we are using paper copies. So it kind of depends on what you meet, what your check-in process looks like. For the most part, I believe, Staylist, you have pre-arrival forms and digital signature that they can complete. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my suggestion to all of our customers is if your reservation provider allows for you to do the forms online, have all of that done online. Don't use our app for that. It's already tied to the reservation. It's right there. It's stored in one place. So that is always my suggestion. We do take digital signature, but that's better for like if they're in it enjoying the park and you can't do something that would be tied to the reservation, because typically you can't go and send them a form through the reservation system while they're going over here to renting a kayak. It
Right.
just doesn't typically make sense. So in those cases, we say to use us. Um, but for the check-in, I mean, really, you're giving them a bunch of paper. And so all of that information, every piece of information that you can give them on paper can be in their app. Right now, the only thing that you would be giving a guest that can't be done in the app today is the thing I talked about earlier is gate codes. Because those change on a per customer basis, so we have to have that ready to go. That's pretty much the only thing that you're going to give a user that's just theirs if they've already signed everything. So you can just have them download the app, and maybe they have a form that just says they're checked in. And when you're free, when you're not busy, you can go and just mark them in-house, and it solves that problem. Obviously, they would need to know their site number before they got in, though. So it really depends on how you manage that process.
And
So
there is another question in the Q&A.
Price wise, it is going to be our smallest resorts, so under 150 sites, is $2,100 a year. We don't have an upfront cost unless you want us to do all of the onboarding and put in all of your content. Up to 250 is 2,800. Up to 500 sites is 3,500, and anything over 500 sites is 5,000. Thanks, Nathan. And oh, with that, we don't feature gate anything. I should mention that too. So there's only one feature in the app that we charge extra for, and it's because we have to pay another company. And that is like time bookings, which if you're using Staylist, you should be using them anyway because they have that built into their product. So that's like renting things on an hourly basis. That's the only feature we charge extra for. Everything else is included. Um, we don't want you to not use the product to its fullest extent if you can.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for your time and going over at my community. This has been obviously super beneficial. This information is great. And the app is great. So I highly, highly, highly recommend if you do not have the app to scan the QR code, meet with Joe. You can build out your trial app. Their website's linked on there as well to get some more information if you have some questions. But take the time, get a meeting, get connected and get that app because I promise you, your guests will love it, and so will you.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Thanks, everybody else.
Yeah. Everybody have a good
Thank you
day.
so much.
Great day. Bye bye.
Bye, y'all.